Hi everyone, this is Jim. Welcome to this Blitz chess postmortem. This is a postmortem of my Blitz game number 263. I was black here and managed to get into another Queen's Gambit declined position, this time from the black side. So I played d5. I was sort of hoping for this since I just did that Chess Basics video on the Queen's Gambit declined. I thought I would play the classical line with e6. And I should say, in my own games I always play the move c6, and I think I prefer that. But there's nothing wrong with e6, and it's interesting to play a different opening now and then and try and see how you do, see what kind of things turn up. So knight c3, looks like we're playing the main moves. Knight f6, I intended to play the main move here. The move bishop e7 has gotten popular recently as a way of preventing the bishop from coming to g5 in the exchange variation. And knight f6 allows it, so it's not as popular these days, but I still think it's an okay move. I was willing to play that position and see if I could get some dynamic counter chances against the in the Carlsbad structure there. c6 also is a move going into the semi-Slav, maybe even the Cambridge Springs variation. But no, I just wanted to play the main move here, knight f6. My opponent plays bishop g5, very common here, although not top move. Knight f3 is the top move here. And I play bishop e7, again the main move. And now my opponent plays h3, so after h3 we're pretty much out of the book. Yeah, now we're out of the opening book. No more sense looking at it. Now, I have some choices here. One point is that black has not played the e-pawn up, so this bishop is this pawn on c4 is undefended, so I can think about taking it, and then I'll have to push a pawn to recapture it. Although I guess he has the recapture with the queen check here, and then pick it up this way. So I was thinking of the move a6 to just hold on to that pawn, threaten to take it, and what was the other point? Oh, the other point is he played h6 instead of g6. Now g6 is a possibility here, going into a Catalan and just sacrificing that pawn by getting pressure on this light squared diagonal. But he didn't play that. He played h6. So that's why I was tempted to play this move a6, and I think it's an okay move. If you look at the engine, engine has other ideas, but it thinks this imprecise move by white basically has equalized the position for black. It recommends playing h6 and trying to force that bishop to exchange itself, or playing c5 and just contesting the center. Okay, so maybe my a6 move is a little bit too clever. But it is a threat to take, and so he deals with it. The engine's saying he should take here, but he dealt with it by pushing. And this is also an equal position. I develop my knight, and I don't want to allow the pawn to push all the way here. That could be troublesome at some point. And he's going for this queenside expansion. He goes a3, and I decide to get rid of some of these pieces right away. Now, what is the engine? The engine is saying e5 is a move here. Now, this is a very interesting move. If I can get away with e5, that's probably a really good move. Because he hasn't bothered to support his d-pawn. I guess he needs to play e3 now. If he takes, how does that work out? If he takes, knight takes. Just seems like I've got an easy position. I have the queenside majority now. He can play b4 and have these advanced pawns, but I have 4 against 3 over here, and this pawn is almost a passed pawn. I just have to get past the e-pawn there. So that should be a decent position for white, and a lot of piece activity there too. So if he plays e3, which is probably the better idea, I could take, I could play h6 to kick the bishop and then take. Yeah, that's the recommendation. Okay, so I didn't really think about that. It's funny, but I should have, because when you get a chance to undermine your opponent's center, this applies in almost any opening, and regardless of what color, whether you're white or black. If you get a chance to undermine your opponent's center, that's often the best plan. Okay, so knight e4. I'm just trying to get rid of some pieces here, and in particular, I'm getting rid of white's active pieces and trying to take advantage of the fact that he's made a bunch of pawn moves. If I get rid of the pieces that he's developed, then I'll just have better development in the resulting position. So he declines to trade. He goes to f4, and then I just go ahead and castle. And then he decides to take my knight. Take back. And you notice there's slight advantage to black through all of this, but not an overwhelming advantage, just basically an equal position. E3. I go B6. I don't want to just allow him to advance all these pawns without any challenge, so I'm threatening actually to take on C5 here and win a pawn. So he needs to short up in some way. He chose to play B4. The engine prefers queen C2 there. And now it thinks I should go ahead and take. I just left the tension there and developed my bishop. I thought about taking, but I thought this should be good too. And bishop C4, developing a piece. Bishop F6. So I'm thinking of getting in the move E5 now to kind of undermine. He's got this giant pawn wedge here, and I need to counterattack against it at some point so I don't get steamrollered. So E5 is a logical kind of thrust. He plays rook C1, and I go E5 now. The engine is suggesting B5. It has a different idea, yeah. B5 really closes up the position. It gains a tempo on the bishop, and then play E5. Okay, so it has the same idea of playing E5, but it thinks that throwing in this B5 move with the tempo first is a little better. Maybe it doesn't like the bishop on this diagonal. Maybe there's some weakness potentially on F7. Okay, but I played E5, and not bad. He retreats the bishop, and then I go ahead and grab the pawn. So when he retreated, that's a pawn sack. What's the engine say? The engine says he's in trouble anyway, but he should probably take the pawn. Okay, so I take, and he took back. And then knight takes. The engine likes either B5 or bishop takes. That's interesting. I'm not quite sure why bishop takes is so much better. Well, it's not a huge difference. Okay. Knight takes. Knight E2. And I just decide to exchange on E2. It says E3 is a move here, or B5 again. It really likes this B5 move. Now B5 makes sense now because it gets the bishop away from defending this knight, so it has some point there. Okay, knight takes, queen takes, and queen E7. Well, it says B takes C5 is a move here. And he decides to castle. Bishop to E5, countering his bishop on this diagonal. I was getting tired of worrying about the pressure on my C7 pawn, which he always has here with the threat of taking. And although I guess after I recapture, there is no pawn on C7, but there's still the square on his C7. If he can get his rook there, supported by the bishop, that would be a bit uncomfortable for me. So he should probably just trade here, but instead he plays queen E3, so I go ahead and take the bishop. King takes, and now I take on C5. So it's a move the engine has been asking for a while. I realize that even though I'm isolating my pawns, it's also isolating my opponent's pawns. So it's equal, in terms of the pawn structure, and I don't have to worry so much about him taking on B6 at an inopportune time. So I played rook F to D8, getting on the open file. He goes king back to H1. Bishop C6. Yeah, just getting off of the B file and putting onto a square where it'll be safe. So I don't have to worry about attacks from the rook. Rook Fe1. So he's going to gang up on my pawn here. That's why I kind of want to protect this bishop, as I need it to hold on to this advanced E-pawn. He goes king. Oh no, it's my turn. I go king H8, right, because his bishop is pinning my F-pawn. I just realized this at this point. I said, well, I better unpin because I'm planning to play F4 here to support my F5 to support my pawn. So he plays F3, counterattacking, I play F5. And now he should just take. That's sort of the logical outcome. He plays instead bishop B3. So at first glance, you might think that rook to D3 is an idea here. But it's actually a big mistake. So if you want a little tactical quiz for this video, here's your chance. Why is that a mistake? Okay, I'm going to give the answer away now. If you want to think about it, pause the video. If you play here, he can just take it because there's a pin on this pawn. So very common tactic. Very common tactical kind of mistake. So you got to watch out for things like that. I played the move Queen H4. I actually was not considering the move D3 at that point, although I should have. In this position, I was thinking about D3, rook to D3 rather, and I realized that the bishop is guarding the entrance square. I mean, in general, I was thinking of where are the invasion points for my rook on the D file. Didn't really think about it at that point. I was playing Queen H4 more with the idea of trying to get my queen to G3 and get some tactics against these pawns on G2 and F3. And here my opponent blunders. So right now, rook D3 is a threat because my queen is no longer here, so this pawn is not pinned. So he needs to take that pawn. And let's go ahead and show what might have happened. F takes E4. I was planning to take with the bishop. The engine likes to throw in the move rook E8, which makes some sense because the pawn is pinned. It can't go anywhere. Although he could push. If I play rook E8 and he pushes the pawn, then F4 is good. Okay, maybe coming with F3 coming and undermining G2. Okay, so that might be an even more accurate way of playing. What I was really planning, though, at this point was bishop takes E4. And what can he do here? Bishop C2 probably to counteract my bishop. And it looks like I have a comfortable edge here, but yeah, not necessarily winning. Yeah, rook D4 to support the bishop. That's probably what I would play here. Bishop takes, rook takes, and then queen C3. So the game would continue. Slight edge for slight edge for black. Oh, the engine now thinks that just retreating the bishop to C6 is even better. It is interesting, the queen, you know, the bishop is pinning this pawn here. So the queen is threatening to take on H3 as long as, if that pawn is ever undefended. Right now it's defended by the queen. So that's a tactic you have to be aware of. Okay, so I played Queen H4. My opponent, instead of taking the pawn here, he played Rook to F1, and now it's just winning. I can play the move Rook D3 right here, but like I said, I wasn't thinking about that actually at this point in the game. And this move or the previous move, I didn't really even consider the move. I was just thinking about the invasion with the queen. Then I realized, well, this pawn is kind of a weakness too. He can't take back with the rook or the queen because I will lose material, and if he takes back with the pawn, then I can grab the h-pawn. So this at least wins another pawn. So he chose to take this way. And now queen takes h3 is not even the strongest move, but that's what I played. And there's one more interesting kind of tactical point coming up. Queen g3 here, king h1. So this is all good. But right now I play a move which is kind of second rate. I really was looking for how to get my rook over to checkmate him. And the key idea is to get the rook to this square. And the way you do that is you can play the queen to h4, check. So this is just a very common idea. When you have these checks against the king, you can place your queen anywhere you like. So pretty much on any of these squares. I can't place it here, obviously, because it's guarded. But you know, I can get my queen in any of those squares because I can go back and forth checking his king and just decide where to put the queen. And I do it all with tempo. And then I get this move, rook to d4. And now I have a threat of queen here with check and rook over checkmate. So this is pretty serious. Looks like the advantage of -10. That means that white is going to have to give up a queen to stave off this mating attack. So that would have been the quickest and most efficient way to finish the game. The best way to play it. I didn't find that. I played rook d7. But I wanted to point out that tactic because I think that's a pretty common idea. You should always look around for that. Where is the best square for the queen, and how can the queen help the other pieces get into the attack? Okay, rook d7, he went rook c2, and we wander on for a few more moves, but I never really give up the advantage. I maintain this sort of winning advantage. He gets some pressure. Oops, he didn't play that. He gets some pressure against my f5 pawn. He can't take it now, obviously, because I would just recapture. The move he played, which didn't get recorded, but I saw it on the screen. He ran out of time at this point. but he actually had put this move on the board, rook h5. But this loses to rook d2. So if he were to grab the pawn, this is fatal, just queen h4, and it's mate in 2. The king has no squares. So, well, only one square, and then it gets mated. So this apparent threat against the f-pawn is not really a threat. And, you know, basically my position is overwhelming. Queen f4 to defend the pawn, or to attack the pawn this way, is the best defense. And then rook d5, chasing the queen. Let's see if the queen takes. Then, oh, well, he came out better. So, oh, I played rook d4, rook d5, defending the pawn. Although just attacking the queen and forcing the trade apparently was still good for black, but this is the best way to play. And, well, the game continues. Rook b1, king g1, rook h5, queen takes c7. Well, let's try this. Queen takes c7. Can I punish this in some way? Rook takes c5. The queen is defending the rook and the bishop. So it looks like this is just kind of a material up situation. I've got 2 extra pawns over here on the king side. It's going to be tricky to play, actually. It's a good thing my opponent ran out of time before I did, because in these kind of moves, in these kind of positions, there's all these tactics because you have so many heavy pieces on the board. In fact, there's a tactic right here. Bishop takes pawn check, winning the queen. That so he has to move the queen, probably queen to g3. And, yep, just another difficult position to play, but with black having a winning edge here with careful play. Okay, so let's back up to the end position of the game. It was right here. I played h6, kind of a waiting move, also because I wanted to move quickly and not lose time on the clock. And at this point, he ran out of time, and that's how the game ended. So hope you guys enjoyed that. Leave me any comments you have in the section below, and I will see you again soon. Bye.